Hello and welcome back to another episode. Now today we are finally getting into the secret project. Now it has been a while since it's been teased, quite a while, and we are finally getting into it today. So what it is that I am making the Spider-Man 2 map in Minecraft. So basically I'm just making New York in Minecraft, but a kind of a smaller condensed version of New York, of course. And today we're just going to have a little fly through, have a little tour around what I have built, and talk a little bit about the development process and stuff in today's episode, just to get a feel for what we're doing. So I started off with this building here, this white one here, and initially I was building another city project and I was looking for inspiration, so I went to the Spider-Man game, and then it's just kind of snowballed out into just making the Spider-Man game in Minecraft. So we started off with this one here. As you can see, I have gone back and forth with some design things, so some things have changed over the time, like for example these pots here and the leaves on the floor have all changed because I've come back and I've added more things into it. But we can see here the design pretty similar to what we've got in the game. You've got all of the fire escapes, and then a lot of this kind of set the tone for the rest of the city because of how far apart you've got the blocks there. These ones are only 2 apart. Most of the modern new ones that I've built are 3, so you can see some slightly differences. The fire escape, the design is just copied and pasted all over, and all of kind of our detailing and stuff, and it's got all of the roof functions. So I'm trying to make it as close to one to one as possible, but in some places it's not perfect. So we started off with this one and then we moved over here. So again, quite similar. This was all kind of done. A lot of world edit was my tool of choice. So now I've got Axiom. What I can do is I can come back in and make sure that's enabled, and then just kind of fill in some of the spots there, and we can almost just get rid of the glass panes, because we can just do, oh no we can't because that updates it, because we can do that there, which does the exact same thing but without the glass pane. So that's something that I've got to think about when coming back through, is all of those small little details there that I can now add in with Axiom that I couldn't before. And Axiom has allowed me to do a lot of the detail work just before. So a lot of this might have been seen in the trailer, if you've seen that secret trailer. And then we move on. This building here was next. So this one's quite an interesting one because it kind of goes all the way behind, and it was our first bit of graffiti here, which I think has come out really, really well in comparison to what's in the actual game there. Obviously it's not perfect, but it is good enough. You can see the books in there, you can see the person's face. That's kind of what we're going for there. And then again, same thing here. I need to get the mod that allows you to see the entities from far away, because the signs unloading is a little bit annoying. It does kind of ruin it a little bit, but it's not too bad. So that's our next one. And then we finished our little block here with this building here. It's got the corner kind of bit there, the blue, all of the blue, and all of the interesting details, some interesting color choices as well with kind of the end stone. And we can see that we've got all of the detailing on the path, the bus stop, the signs, the graffiti, the rubbish on the floor, and then even in the road we've got all of the detailing here. So this is kind of the process of what takes so long here. And then once this was done, we moved on over this way. This was our next building that we did. This one was another painful one because, of course, mushroom stems. You've got to place them all and break it all just to get that texture there. And I've not done any texturing on this one because it's a little bit awkward with that. And, of course, this was our first kind of one where we started to really see kind of a shop front that we started to design rather than just the building, but down at floor level. So that was quite a fun one, and that's kind of where we've got all of this. I've got to come back in and do all of these signs and stuff. And the lights out here, they obviously don't function, and I do want it like this in the design, because in the future hopefully we'll be able to get not the lights working, but so there's an apocalypse and then those lights are kind of not functioning anyway. So that's what we want. We want no light going through, and then we continuing on, nice little alleyway here, and then into our next set of buildings over here. So 3 kind of smaller ones here, kind of building up some more shop fronts, which is quite nice. Apparently I lied, there was a shop front over here that I apparently it wasn't the first one. So another graffiti here. This one, quite an interesting story behind this one. So to design the shape and that, I got an image of Toby from the Sidemen and then put it into a pixel art thing and then put the outline of like the face and that in, and and then put in all of the colours there. So that's quite an interesting backstory behind there, and you can see all of these different techniques here, and missing a block there apparently. So good thing we done that, because I spotted that now. Or any of the other ones? No, just that one. No. Okay, so there's our first little block that we did. The market stalls in here came quite a bit later on, which you might be able to see in the trailer. And then we moved over here. So again, there's a lot of repetition going to be going on. It's just building all of the details around the road detail. You know, it all comes together. So, but you can see the inside of that building there apparently. But you can see there how similar it is, and all of the roofs all got all of the detailing on everything here, all of the alleyways in between, lots of little small details which really make things up. Now, moving on, surprise, surprise, we've got another building, and then another building. We've got lots of them here. This is where they start to get quite tall. So this is where the world edit stack command really helped. There, I think there's a few floors missing, or there's a few extra floors just to make the sense of some heights feel a little bit better. So you can see here that there's 2 blocks in between the windows here, but there's 3. Oh, those are 2. Oh, never mind. So they're in the same scale there. These ones here, this building here, this one has 3 blocks in between the windows. This one only has 2. So that's kind of what throws off some of the scale a little bit of these ones. This is quite a solid chunk here. So we can see how the road moves in from here, all of the details here. You can see the curved pavement and how those roads all line up there. And then we keep on moving around. More buildings here, more buildings. Who'd have thought more buildings in a city? So you can see here, another one here, nice little detail there on the corner. We can see how that lines up there. And then we keep moving around. If we go inside some of these areas here, you can see it's just kind of walled off of where the kind of the outside walls of all the buildings are. So you can see if we get around to doing interiors, like these walls here will be a part of this building, and then these ones, they can kind of go all the way there, but they're just kind of placeholders, so you're not seeing all the way through the buildings. That would be a little bit jarring. And then we're smack bang in the middle here, so I just had to decide where some buildings finished. So I think I decided that one there comes into this middle spot back here. So there we go, some more buildings here. You can see kind of the detailing there and how we've used those glass panes there. But again, like I said earlier, we can come in and we can probably get rid of a lot of those glass panes there. But they do serve that function when I didn't have that Axiom mod. So this is all pre-Axiom here that we've got, that we're looking at now. All of this. The only thing that I did in Axiom was I came back in and then I did all of the detailing, because you can really easily do it. You just shift into here, magic select all of that, noise painter, boom, you're done. It's so simple, and it is just fantastic. And Axiom has really made things interesting. So you can see here we've got first use of some lettering on here. So you can see Ed Backroom. I'm pretty sure there should be an S, but who knows? Galhan. So some of the signs are coming in, and we've got all of our detailing outside. And you might have been noticing these things here. So these are actually named mailbox, mail relay box, and rubbish bin. So those are all things in the game that are like that. And then we've got our traffic light design all over the exact same. So we've got to put in our stop signs there. I think we'll probably just use banners for that. Is those yellow banners? But then yeah, we'll figure something out. But those are all just kind of all over the place at the moment. And then we keep on moving up. This one here is my least favourite. It's kind of the modern style. This is by far the least favourite build I've got. It looks quite clunky on the top. I'm not going to change anything of it. Might do, but then this one here, another interesting story is that over this way, I think there should be 6 of these little segments here, but I could only fit in 5. So that just shows that some things have to be taken into account here in order to get this work. And then another one of those detailing things, lots of different bench designs, lots of different things. Seems the pavement is quite clean in the game, so there's no kind of detailing, but you can see we've got all of that detail there of kind of the drop paper and rubbish all over the floor. And we've got the use of the mini block mod here. There's our security camera. We've got buttons again as our lights. I might go back through and replace all of the birch buttons with pale oak ones, because they're more white and more in for it. So that'll all just be simple. We just come in here, break, and then, oh no, do I have the force plate on? I do. I just didn't come underneath. There we go. So that's so much easier now. Before it was really hard to do with the world edit, but now with the Axiom settings, it's really easy just to come back in and make those edits there. This is our first little bit of interior. This shelf in here is our only piece of interior that we've got so far. And then we were right on the end here with the tallest building at the time. Quite a big one, feeding out onto the main ring road that goes around the top of Harlem. So we're in the Harlem area at the moment. This is the tallest building that we have got, and it towers over there. And then we move on to a nice car park. Fantastic. That's what we like to see. So the Harlem Fish Market does go here. However, because there's not very many blue stairs, like this is the closest we got to blue stairs, and I hate that, so I haven't moved on to it. Otherwise that would have been my next part of the build, but instead I did not. So we kind of got all the way back up here, made the car park, and while we're here you can see kind of my copy paste things. I do have to get these into Axiom so that I can just simply copy and paste them without having to come over here, so I can save them as kind of schematics. So that's our two different size fire exits, the ones with 2 blocks in between windows, and then 3 here. So that's kind of the different designs, and a few little trees that I can come in and copy and paste when needed. So you can see that these are going to all be very similar trees here. These two might be the exact same, and I didn't even bother rotating them, it seems. But this one here might be a little bit different. So you can see all of this here, the car park, all of the road signs laid out perfectly as they should be, and then the seafood market coming over this way. In terms of where it is in the world, you can see if we drop in, our road level is here at Y5, because our sea level is going to be at Y0 down here. So that's kind of one of the next steps as well, is to start getting into the sea. But before we do that, it's going to take a while to get to that, because I can't be bothered with it. But let's have a go and look at our map. Here you can see all of the detailing on the roof, all of the different kind of textures that are laid out, and I just love a map so much. Look at how beautiful these maps are here. It just shows it off. I mean, some of the colours are a little bit off, like Tough is brown on here. Why is Tough brown? It's grey. It should kind of be a slightly lighter grey than everything else, but it's not. So that's just something that kind of bugs me the whole time, is Tough being grey, or brown, sorry, because it would look so much better with the Tough being grey. It would look way nicer. But you can see here, so in the trailer we had kind of this bit here done, that kind of section there, and then I didn't really work on it for a while. So where it finished was, we are at this building here, which we'll go and have a look at now. Let's boost our speed and bring it back on down. There we go. So this is the last building that I worked on for having quite a sizable break on the project, and even then there's been a few little changes as well. I got rid of the granite. It was just looking a little bit too busy, so that's kind of where we finished up. And then boom, recently, about 2 months ago, a little bit of inspiration, and then we just kind of grinded out a large section here. And this one here is another one where there should be 5 segments, but there's only 4, and I think I did a nice job here, especially the banners. I really like how the banner turned out, because the A in Feast is a house, so that looks like that there. So this is our Feast shelter, and this is the first building that I did the texturing on, and this was the only building that I've actually done the texturing on by hand. So this is all by hand, and then I figured out the Axiom way of doing it, and it's become way easier. So this bit here is our first section that we did back after our long break, and this little garden here, this area, really happy with how this turned out. All of the the lights here hanging down, the birch there, which again I might change to pale oak, even though pale oak was in the game when I did this. So you can see how we used the bushes, all of our new texturing, and I think this area here came out really nice. And if we stand in the corner, we can get a really great view kind of the city behind it as well. So that's our Feast building there, And then where I moved over to next was I created the shape of these ones, of these two here. These are identical, just flipped, and I've made this one here. So these ones didn't take too long, because now we were starting to use the Axiom mod and things were starting to fly up. So the process there: make the shape of kind of these layers here, put them in, make the shops underneath so that I know how high these need to be. And the top bit I need to know the shape of, because I need to know where the windows are going to make sure that everything else stays in line. So we've got this here. This is our first little building on a diagonal here. This full diagonal going into this building here. And as you can see, there's a lot of details which are copy and pasted, like the roof, a lot of the roof greebling. It's the same as in the game, but all of these kind of things are kind of, I'm treating as assets. So you can see those two there are the same. This bit here and up here are the same, and then there's a water tower on that building over there. So a lot of things are getting reused, so it's now saving me a lot of time, because I'm just going to copy and paste a lot of stuff. And this is where we first started to use our Axiom texturing, so you can see the pale oak logs around the bricks there. So in the game it shows more of the brick texture, and so we've got that kind of slight transition, so it's not just a load of bricks. I mean, in some places it's not really good, but that is that there. And then these buildings here were next. So once again, same process, make the shape. This one was a lot more complicated because I had to get all of the angles right and the curves, and it was just awful. It was a pain. It was a pain to build these ones, but I'm very happy with how they've turned out, and even happier when I got to copy and paste the main bulk of the building itself. The only thing that I didn't copy and paste was kind of the roof stuff, just because stuff was at different angles, and so I had to build all of the roofs individually so that they could fit in and look like they make sense. Whoa, yawning now. You guys must be more bored than I am. So coming down, looking at the details now of the floor. So we've got a nice little park here. I'm actually really happy with how these park sections have turned out. They're actually usable as well. Why is that missing there? There we go. Spotting all sorts of things. So that's a good use of our time here. It's actually, is it usable? Did I find? I don't think it is usable, these ones. I don't think you can get on top. I think you can parkour on from over it. Yeah, you can parkour on. You can easily parkour on. But oh no, put that back down. There we go. I wanted to open it. There we go. So little playground sections, the trees, the path, and these are all slightly smaller in our world than it is in game, but that's all fine. So some things are a bit squished in, so I think this should be kind of rotated, but it's not, but it fits in how we do the world here. So once again, I'm fine with it. You know, can't be perfect with everything, and I'm really happy with how that area there has turned out. And then we move over to the park. So this area here has been was empty for ages, and the way I figured out where the roads were going in this section is by plotting out, like I said, those upper floors. So you can see that this is the shape of our building here, our building there, and our building there, and that lets me figure out how long each section needs to be, so I could create this space here. Because if you're just judging based off of the park, then you could end up wildly off for the other buildings. And as you can see along here, I've got a lot of those sections as well. And that's what I need to do here as well to get that next crossing in the middle of this little road here. So this one here, I'm very, very happy with this again. It's quite fun to do all of the bits of graffiti lying around on the outside, so you can't really tell what any of it is too much. But we've got a nice little basketball courts, which really look the part there. And then the rest of the park, no kind of pathways, a lot of the grass overgrown, a lot of graffiti on the balls. That was quite a fun one to do. Lots of small little details. The park bench is really happy with, and then all of the other detailing that lies around here. Like for example, you got your bins, and then you got your lights, picnic blankets as well. Lots of little details here. A little toilet building there, and that was just quite a nice one. Nice one just to do something different for a change other than just the straight up buildings. And then we move over to this section here. This section here is currently in progress, and once again I did all of the layouts for the lines, and we've still got a few back here that still need doing. This one was very painful to try and figure out. So some buildings might be a little bit more squished than others because I knew I needed to be kind of in line with this pillar here at the end of things. So in order to squeeze all of these in, I think this one here is being compressed a little bit, and then some had to be widened, and it was a whole fiasco. But it's there now, and I'm really happy with how these buildings are turning out. These are my most recent ones, so they've gone up much quicker, and they're slightly different. Yeah, like I said, so we got those little sticky outy bits because of Axiom, which we didn't do over there, which we might go back to. And then all of these shops here, we got the vehicle. So there's meant to be a lot of vehicles in the city, of course, because it's a city, it's New York, there's going to be a lot of vehicles. But I haven't built any of those ones because they all move around. This one here is stationary, so that's why this one here has been built in this alleyway. And then all of these alleyways here are all true to the game. There are lots of different building styles, kind of the colours as well. And I'm happy with some of these designs, like using the raw iron here. I think was a really fun choice with the detailing of the dripstone as well. So that really adds on there. And then we've got these ones coming through here. And again, very similar designs. A lot of these are going to have very similar shapes to other ones over there, especially kind of these bits here. Wherever those bits on our plans are sticking up, that's kind of these pillars here that are kind of adding onto things there. And then this bit here, I've used on building before, so I copy and paste and then just shrink it a little bit so you can fit more in, and really happy with how that's turned out. This is kind of our next two buildings here to go in. They shouldn't take too long, especially since we got the colours kind of sorted, the windows sorted. This one I haven't done the windows for yet, but that will go in. We've got a nice alleyway here, and then these buildings here are just the exact same front and back pretty much, and then the few details that need to be changed. That alleyway is the same as that one, and then this alleyway here needs to be done, but I'll get onto that when we get through that. Another nice coloured one, nice funky coloured one here, a few little smaller ones here, and like I said, that alleyway is the same there, and then that completes our circuit around. So we're just going to pause in a few places. You can see, you can compare to the city, from the city here to the city in the game, and we can talk about our next steps as well. Our next steps is to go this way because there's going to be a building here, and then there's a main road like this one going all the way along here. So that's kind of the edge of the Harlem district. So that way we would have built from one end of Harlem all the way to the other end. And so we're going to get that one in, and then I'll start pushing my way that way. So Central Park is going to be kind of in this diagonal corner here, which I can't really do until you kind of build around it on at least two of the sides. So we can kind of start with that, but then not really get anywhere with that. So that's going to be our next one. The next video you'll see on this will be me putting up this building here. And, well, I think that about does it. Let's just kind of fly around. We'll stand in a few positions just to kind of get some comparison shots here. So we'll stand here, and then you can see and compare if I've done the editing right. You know me. Never get it done right. So we're just kind of moving around. Oh, and the market stall, I forgot about that. There we go. So again, this was quite a late on edition while I was doing these ones. So during my renaissance, as they say, again, our vehicle, this one was our first vehicle that we built, this food truck. And then we've got this nice little market stall here, this kind of festival area with our flags hanging down. So that's the project. The next one, like I said, will be about that building over there, and then at some point I'm going to do a history of what's led me to doing this project in the first place, and that will be that, I think. So let us let's find a location to design out. Where do we want to go? Where's a nice place? We'll go over to our park in here. We'll end up over here. We'll do our sign off from over here. Let's see. What's going to be a nice cinematic view? Basketball court down here. Yeah, that looks good. Fantastic. I can't believe this is getting in. this bit. There we go. Ooh, look at that. What a shot. What a shot. I mean, over on the right there, you wouldn't usually be able to see that building there. I mean, maybe slightly through the alleyway, but not all of it, because there'll be buildings there. But that's besides the point. So, I've rambled on and on and on. Thank you very much for watching. If you're excited for this project, leave a like. If you want to see more, make sure you comment as well. And I will try my best to keep up with this, because I've very much enjoyed this, and this is kind of my thing, is copying, not thinking too much about the references, so I can just copy and I don't have to think, because I really struggle with the creative side. But if I've got something to copy off of, I am fantastic here. So as you can see, I've made much more progress than I have with building in the survival world, as I built exactly one thing, one house in there. So I'm much more of that farm builder and utility, but I want to get building more, and this was really helping with that. So thank you very much, and goodbye.